Hello, everyone. This is Yoko. In this channel, I will share information in English that I have gathered on events happening in China, as they may not be widely covered in other countries. I receive information from multiple sources, and I would be happy to hear your opinions on the video content in the comments. As English is not my native language, I use an AI speaker to read the content in English. If you find the content interesting, please consider subscribing to the channel and showing your support. Today marks the last video of the year. Since starting video content delivery, I have been providing daily updates, and I appreciate you tuning in today. Now, let me introduce some stories about the wild world of China. Today, I'll discuss several topics related to the Chinese economy. One article highlights the outflow of funds from China, where substantial amounts are reportedly being converted into assets like gold bars, foreign currencies, and apartments in Tokyo. It's important to note that not all the outflowing funds are heading to Japan. Nevertheless, a significant amount of money is flowing from China to other countries. So, what is the scale of this outflow? According to some estimates, approximately $500 billion is flowing out of China each month. Entities responsible for this outflow are often individuals and private enterprises. Essentially, wealthy individuals, often referred to as China's affluent class, are moving around $500 billion from China to destinations overseas every month. This is equivalent to around 7 trillion yen in Japanese yen. From a Japanese perspective, this might seem quite unusual. There is a tendency to believe that while it's easy to send money to China, withdrawing it is challenging due to various regulations. However, the reality is a bit different. Although China has regulations, there are various means to withdraw substantial amounts of funds. While not all of these methods are legal, some raise questions about their legitimacy. The difference in understanding often leads to misconceptions when Japanese people view China. Many believe that withdrawing substantial assets from China is impossible, but in reality, there are various means to move significant amounts of money. However, many of these methods involve activities that are not entirely legal. This difference in understanding reflects the unique characteristics of Japanese and Chinese societies. In summary, it is not impossible to withdraw funds from China, and various means exist, but not all are legal. The vast scale of this outflow, around 7 trillion yen leaving China every month, may lead to different perceptions in Japan due to the contrasting legal and regulatory environments. There are cases where individuals in Japan illegally evade taxes by using duty-free privileges. For instance, there are reports of Chinese students in Japan purchasing a large quantity of goods and claiming them all as duty-free. However, it seems odd for a student to buy goods worth 250 million yen and send them all to China. In Japan, there are suspicions that these purchases were made not for personal use but for resale within the country. Although the student claims to have sent the items overseas, the lack of clear evidence raises doubts about the possibility of domestic resale. Since there is no evidence of sending the items to a country other than Japan, it seems that the consumption tax does not need to be paid. Recently, Taiwanese media has aired a program on YouTube suggesting that Chinese individuals may be involved in money laundering in Japan. The program explains in detail how this is done. Chinese individuals visiting Japan first make significant purchases using credit cards. These purchases are considered items to be taken back to China and are eligible for duty-free treatment. Consequently, these items can be bought for 10% less than if a Japanese person were to buy them. These goods are then resold within Japan by Chinese individuals. In Japan, there are already several purchasing agents operated by Chinese individuals. To further explain the process, the Chinese individual, after making purchases using credit cards, will have the amount deducted in Chinese currency, renminbi, within China. Subsequently, they sell the purchased items to purchasing agents in Japan, receiving payment in Japanese yen. Effectively, this converts renminbi into Japanese yen. Additionally, this process allows individuals to bring cash from China to Japan. The purchasing agents, taking advantage of Japan's consumption tax system, can acquire goods at a price 10% lower than retail. Even after adding a 5% profit margin, these agents can still make a profit. Furthermore, these agents can sell the goods within the Japanese market or export them to China. Popular items for such transactions include over-the-counter medicine, which is highly sought after in China. Some individuals in Taiwan argue that there are issues with Japan's consumption tax system. In Japan, goods can be purchased duty-free at the point of sale, unlike in many other countries where consumers pay the tax and then apply for a refund at the airport. The differences in these systems may lead to the potential misuse and abuse of Japan's duty-free system, especially in cases involving large-scale resale, resulting in substantial profits. On the other hand, there are people who argue that Japan's system is designed based on the assumption that people will follow the rules, and it's the individuals engaging in wrongful activities who are at fault. We would like to hear the opinions of the viewers on how they perceive this. Even from a third-party perspective, opinions are divided, but ultimately, the system that allows duty-free purchases on the spot is very convenient for consumers. If we interpret the act in terms of convenience for tourists visiting Japan, it was probably created as a highly convenient system for them. The unexpected emergence of individuals abusing this system, like the case of the student purchasing 250 million yen worth of goods, was not foreseen. Therefore, labeling Japan as problematic might be a somewhat sympathetic evaluation, as it likely wasn't anticipated. However, it has been decided that Japan's system will be revised due to these incidents, and this has been reported in China. There is speculation that those who have been engaged in resale activities in Japan may no longer be able to profit from them. In connection with this discussion, there's another topic I'd like to introduce. Please take a look at this article. It's about China's trade surplus. Despite being in a trade surplus, China's currency, the renminbi, has been weakening. This can be attributed to China's early adoption of initiatives like electric cars and solar panels in response to Western calls for carbon reduction. By exporting solar panels and automobiles, China has maintained its trade surplus. The monthly trade surplus was approximately $77.71 billion in September and $56.53 billion in October. This means that China has been in a surplus of around $60 to $70 billion every month. The New York Times Chinese edition mentioned in the previous discussion stated that the monthly outflow of money from China is roughly $50 billion. Normally, with the trade surplus, a country's currency should strengthen. In the global context, if a country sells more than it buys, the value of its currency should increase. However, the renminbi has been weakening, and one significant reason for this is the substantial outflow of money from China. This outflow is not on the scale that ordinary people might think. It involves the use of fundamentally illegal means to steadily move large amounts of money out of the country. For instance, the case of reselling in Japan mentioned earlier violates Japanese laws, as items bought within the duty-free limit are being resold within Japan, which is essentially tax evasion. These activities, including the purchase of Japanese real estate by wealthy Chinese individuals, likely involve a considerable amount of illegal conduct. Investigating these activities thoroughly and confiscating illegally moved funds should be a priority. That's it for this story. Let's meet again next time.